While hundreds of thousands of Kentuckians requested an absentee ballot this year, many were still out voting in person yesterday. We hear from them about those changes. Plus, we hear what Kentucky Secretary of State Michael Adams is saying about yesterday's modified primary elections.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning, I'm Lacey Roberts. Thank you for joining us on Mountain News This Morning. Today is Wednesday, June 24th, also known as Hump Day. And after that rain that moved in through yesterday, Brandon's been mentioning it all morning. The problem that we're seeing right now is that fog that's causing a problem with visibility. Let's go ahead and bring him in, Brandon, and let him know where those areas are at and how they should be cautious.
Yeah, absolutely. Slow it down this morning, Lacey, because there's a lot of areas we're seeing real dense fog there, close to zero visibility in spots. Remember, anything less than 5 miles on this map is dense fog. That includes Ashland, Logan, Pikeville, Harlan, Jonesville, Monticello, and that's just on the sensors that are actually registering the fog. It's in other places as well this morning. So slow it down. Be careful. Use those low beams. 50s and 60s for temperatures right now, so not too bad. Dew points in the 50s pretty much area-wide. There's a couple of 60s still hanging out, so you're getting back below that sticky category, back toward the comfortable, and that's going to be hanging out for a couple of days. Temperatures only in the upper 70s, close to 80 today, and some scattered chances for rain will pick up a little bit later this afternoon. Full forecast in just a little bit. Lacey.
Thank you, Brandon. Secretary of State Michael Adams says that about 1.1 million Kentuckians voted in Kentucky's delayed primary election. Here you can see video from Louisville's lone polling station last night. It's the largest turnout in Kentucky since 2008. As expected, President Donald Trump and Joe Biden won the presidential primaries, but many other outcomes might not be known for a week until counties submit all vote totals. And the most watched race is for the Democratic nomination for U.S. Senate. Amy McGrath and Charles Booker are the top candidates vying to take on the incumbent Republican Mitch McConnell, who easily won his primary. Partial results show McGrath with about 5,000 vote lead, but that does not include Fayette or Jefferson counties. McGrath and Booker spent their election nights in very different ways. Garrett Weimer has more.
We're told the Booker and McGrath campaigns filed injunctions to keep polls in Louisville open longer. A line of voters outside the Expo Center not happy they couldn't get in after being stuck in traffic. A judge denied an injunction to keep polls open until 9, but decided the doors could open back up for an extra half hour. It was enough to let folks already there cast their ballots.
We are redefining the course of our country. The entire country is watching us right now. They're looking at Kentucky.
At his thank you rally in Louisville, Charles Booker was joined by his family and introduced by his mother as he thanked loved ones and supporters in an emotional speech.
We are here for a reason, and this is not about politics. We got work to do, Kentucky, and we gonna win. We gonna win. In fact, we've already won. This is our time now, and Mitch gotta go.
Amy McGrath did not hold an in-person election night rally. We were told she'd have a Zoom call with reporters at some point. That hasn't happened yet. She did release a statement. As eager as we all are to get results, I am grateful for the extra effort and due diligence to make sure every voice is heard and every vote is counted. Right now, I want to thank every single person who has supported us along the way. As we wait for results, I hope everyone takes a moment to get a little rest, recharge your battery, and buckle up for what's next. The mission to defeat Mitch McConnell and defend our democracy goes on. Outside Kroger Field, Mike Breuer held a small get-together with staff and volunteers. He spoke with us about folks' demand for social and economic justice.
People in Washington need to be paying attention or they're going to be extinct, because people in this country are ready for change. And I hope that whoever wins this race, whether it's me or Representative Booker or Colonel McGrath, that we take forward this message that to rush back to business as usual, pre-COVID, this is not what America wants. They want big changes, and I hope that whoever wins this race has got the courage to make bold changes.
It's still a close race between McGrath and Booker. Whoever wins will have to face off against one of the most influential men in Washington. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell was the first elected back in 1984 and has won re-election 5 times since then. Congressman Hal Rogers won Kentucky's 5th congressional district Republican primary yesterday. Rogers is seeking his 21st term in office in November. He released a statement last night saying, in part, "It's an honor to have the overwhelming confidence of the people of southern and eastern Kentucky. Over the last 4 decades, we have built strong partnerships and generated historical grassroots movements to impact the drug abuse epidemic, rebuild our economy in coal country, expand our infrastructure, create jobs, clean up our region, and pave a brighter path for future generations." Congressman Andy Barr, Thomas Massie, and Brett Guthrie also won their primary races. And while more than 889,000 Kentuckians requested an absentee ballot, thousands of others showed up to heavily reduced numbers of precincts across the Bluegrass yesterday, including here in Perry County, where we found a steady flow of people going in and out of Perry Central, exercising their right to vote. Many of those voters told us they did not see the extra commute to a single polling location as a problem, even if the experience was not what they were used to.
Pretty good turnout so far. I didn't really get to talk to anybody because you can't do that like you do at your local precinct, not this time of year. So pretty much voted and exit. So, but it was a good experience overall.
It's in the neighborhood.
We reached out to Perry County Clerk Wayne Napier for an interview yesterday. However, he was busy counting absentee ballots and was unable to do so. And Knox County opened 2 polling locations yesterday, one at Knox Central High School, the other at Lynn Camp School. To make sure everyone was safe, the tables were placed about 6 feet apart. Each table was cleaned once someone finished voting. County Clerk Mike Corey predicted that overall turnout there to be around 25%. And most counties only had 1 or 2 polling places yesterday, but in Pike County, voters were able to choose from 6 in-person precincts. Belfry, Phelps, East Ridge, Shelby Valley, and Pike Central High Schools were all open to voters, as was Millard School. Poll worker Richard Tucker says using the schools as precincts in place of the usual spots provided more help for poll workers, making a smoother process for voters.
So people get to get in to vote easier, and it's not working like 4 people to death. It seems to be a whole lot easier. We was all talking, we like this setup. It's a whole lot better on us.
Kentucky's Secretary of State Michael Adams says Kentucky's election has been a national success story. And with such an unprecedented primary, we wanted to talk to an expert on the issue. Josh Douglas is a University of Kentucky professor. He's written a book about election laws. While he would have liked to see more in-person polling available, he does think this primary process is better than anything that we've done before.
But it's not, the 600,000 voters for one polling place in Louisville or 250,000 voters for one polling place in Lexington. That was never going to be the case, given the amount of mail-in balloting that we had.
This is the first time state leaders have given Kentuckians a chance to vote absentee without meeting certain requirements. And this election will go down in the history books as the COVID-19 pandemic caused state leaders to scramble to find a safer way for people to cast ballots. Kentucky Secretary of State says that he plans to have some glitches, but overall it worked out very well. WYMT's Phil Pendleton talked to Michael Adams yesterday about the combination of mail-in and in-person voting.
All eyes were on Kentucky to see how they handled the primary amid the COVID-19 pandemic.
Well, so far Kentucky's a national success story. We've not had any systemic problems. We've got good turnout. People are coming out to vote.
We'll be in session all day long on Election Day until the polls close.
The State Board of Elections in Adams spent most of Tuesday monitoring the system and said few issues were found. But Adams did call out Fayette County for long lines at Kroger Field.
That issue's been addressed. We help provide more e-poll books to the county clerk there to get people checked in faster. And so the lines there are still about a third of what they've been in other states. But that's still too long. I want the lines even shorter.
This was Kentucky's first test in social distancing and voting in person.
They had arrows letting you know where to go. Please keep safe distancing. Everyone adheres to it. Everyone just kind of wants to get their vote in and get out and go home, get out of this rain.
More than 29% of registered voters were expected to take part in the primary. Although polling places had lines today, thousands of others mailed theirs in.
But it's not straining our election officials. It's been very manageable getting people in and out relatively quickly.
Now the question is, did this work so well? Let's do it again in November.
But we're going to monitor today and see how well it goes, see what works, what doesn't work.
While Kentucky was able to move the May primary, that will not be possible for the general election. In Franklin County, Phil Pendleton, WYMT Mountain News.
Now, Adams says that there was a tremendous cost for voting by mail. However, some of that was paid for by the federal government.
Some dense fog will highlight your morning commute today, so just be aware of that. We're seeing limited visibility across a big section of the region. Remember, anything less than 5 miles is a dense fog. A little bit on the horizon up at the Mountain Parkway at Slade because most of the cloud cover has backed off this morning. Maybe a few clouds in spots. Temperatures running in the 50s and 60s. Looks like 57 there in Monticello, our cool spot 63. And Logan and Jacksboro now our warm spots across the region as temperatures continue to fall right around 63. Maybe just a little bit cooler there, a couple degrees with the fog this morning. Maybe a few scattered showers this afternoon as we get to right around 79, and just a few clouds overnight, getting down to about 62. Lacey.
Thank you, Brandon. And thanks for joining Mountain News this morning. More news is on the way. Coming up, the Senate race for the 31st District puts 2 Pike County men on the ballot, both saying they hope to bring change to their district.